When you dial 911, the calm voice you hear on the other side of the line isn't just answering the phone, they're saving lives. This week, we honor those on the other side of the headset. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Lieutenant Jeremy Cox, and this week we're honoring National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And so we thought it'd be a great idea to have one of our public safety telecommunicators with us from the Sheriff's Office. And so joining me today is...
Hey, Lieutenant Cox. My name is Kristian Molina, and I work in communications here at Grayson County.
And so what's your title?
I am a emergency communications specialist.
And so how long have you been with us here in that capacity?
It'll be 4 years in November.
So 4 years, and you've been serving here as a communication specialist, dispatcher, kind of depends on where you are is usually what they title that as. That's what you've been doing the whole time?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And so, I thought it'd be a great idea, especially considering this week, to talk a little bit about the process, what goes on behind the curtain, if you will. A lot of people don't ever get to go and experience what it's like to work in one of these call centers because usually they're kind of far and away, they're closed off because it's important that you be able to hear and be able to focus, but usually they're set apart.
Yes.
And they're not in the public view.
Correct.
So again, this is a lot of behind the curtain stuff that we're going to be talking about today with Kristian. But it's very important because when people dial 911, they are reaching out for help.
Yes, sir.
And you're the voice that answers.
Yes.
All right. So let's start with this. What inspired you to become a communication specialist dispatcher?
So law enforcement has actually always been something that I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I wanted to be a police officer. I took a different route and kind of had kids young and did the stay-at-home mom thing and then went into the medical field. So my husband actually entered law enforcement years prior to this. And when COVID hit, medical field was a little bizarre, crazy at the time, and I figured it would be a good time for me to get out and go into something else that I had wanted to do previously, and this was an easy transition for me. I'm still helping people. It's just a different kind of help.
So kind of you've always been led to serve and help others, and you kind of took what you were doing in the medical field, essentially helping people, and just transitioned into a new way to do it.
Correct.
All right. So what does a typical shift look like in the Emergency Communications Center?
So here at Grayson, our shifts start at 6 a.m. So typically we are here about 5:45 a.m. logging in. We log into 10 to 12 different systems. After that, we are constantly either answering 911 calls, admin line. We also do paperwork. So it's going to be conditions of bond, warrant paperwork. There's really not a lot of downtime in communications. We're always doing something.
So always kind of in action, taking care of things, whether it's answering the calls on the radio, answering the calls on the phone, 911, or administrative things.
Correct.
And you talk about paperwork. You're talking about warrants. So you're entering warrants into a system?
Correct. So we have a national database. It's NCIC, TCIC, where we actually enter the warrants into that system. And that will tell other agencies, say if they pull somebody over that has an active warrant, it pulls in that system to notify them. So we go in and we pull all of that person's information and enter it into that system.
Oh, wow. So you mentioned an admin line, and I know that you're talking about a phone line, and I assume that's just the regular phone line.
Yes, sir.
Just people just calling in. It's not an emergency. It's not a 911 line. This is just people just generally calling the sheriff's office.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, what do you think is the most challenging part of being an emergency communication specialist is?
So the most challenging part for me would be separating your personal life from your work life. You have to have that home work life balance. You can't take what you hear on a daily basis home with you. It does cause some stress. Some of the stuff that we deal with, you're going to think about when you go home. But my biggest advice is to try to leave all that stuff at home, or if you can't, you get help some other way.
So try to create a barrier between the work and the rest of your day, the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Don't let it engulf
bleed over into your home life. Correct.
So you talk about some of these things that are going to stick with you, and that that's hard to avoid, right? Is there any, without giving too many details, of course, is there anything, maybe a call or something that you've dealt with that has really stuck with you through the years that you just remember? When you think about, like, somebody says, what's the most, craziest call or the weirdest call or something, like that's the one you always think about.
Yes, sir. So I have a couple. I have a good one. I have one where there was a lady that called 911 that was delivering a baby in the bathtub. That one, everything was successful. So everything went as planned. They took the baby to the hospital. Everything was great. So that was exciting, And then you do have those ones that hit you a little different. My biggest ones are probably the suicide calls that I've taken.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that that is an unfortunate thing, especially from the aspect of closure. Sometimes, as an emergency communications specialist, you're not there, and
Correct.
so you don't get real closure.
Correct. And that is definitely something that we talk about amongst ourselves in the communications department, is the fact that we're not out in the field. We don't get to physically see. We don't get to physically touch. We just hear what is on the other end of our phone or our headset. So that closure is something that I think a lot of us do struggle with.
Yeah. So shifting gears, let's talk about training. What type of training does it take to become a dispatcher, or is that something that you do before you get here, or is that something you do while you're here? How does that work?
So in the state of Texas, there is not any kind of requirements to start a career in emergency communications. Now, once you get hired on and you go through that process and you go through the hiring process, such as your oral boards and interviews, you do have to go through a training program. Generally, it's anywhere from 3 to 6 months that you're going to be training. Whether you be on your own or with somebody, sitting with you, it depends. It's kind of at your own pace. And then after that, you have a year to get certified through the state.
Oh, wow.
So you do have to go get certified through the state and get your telecommunications license. And then after that, we do have continuing education, and that is 20 hours annually. So 40 hours every other year that we do have to take continuing education classes.
So, I talk about at the beginning, like a lot of times, people have maybe a miscommunication or misunderstanding about what it is that, an emergency communications specialist does. So what do you think the common misunderstanding is amongst the public?
So I think there are a lot of misconceptions as far as 911 goes. I think a lot of people see stuff on TV. And so that's really all that they know, is that we are answering 911 calls. Although that's difficult in itself, that's our number one priority, is to answer those 911 calls. We have a lot of back work, such as, we still have to do our administrative duties, our paperwork. We touched base on the admin line. Admin line is not only for non-emergency calls. We get calls for the courts. We get calls for animal control. We get calls that just need to be transferred because they see a general number and they're going to call it. So that phone is constantly ringing. And there's a lot of just different back work that we do that is not just answering 911 calls all day. So I think that's a big misconception.
Like people calling the sheriff's office dispatch line and they really want human resources for the county.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So earlier we were talking about taking things that you experience at work and trying to leave them at work and not taking them home. How do you manage stress and try to maintain your mental health?
Personally, the gym is huge for me. I think it's an outlet, and it's good for anybody. It, helps with physical fitness, but it also helps with mental things. You can go there and kind of forget about the stuff that you did at work, and focus on just being there with yourself. I think therapy is huge. I think a lot of people in law enforcement, in general, should probably go to therapy. And I think that touches on just the stuff that we hear on a daily basis, and, people in the field, what they see on a daily basis. It's not something that just the general public hears and sees every single day like we do. Yeah. So a huge thing that I think people don't think about is the fact that we are dealing with people on their worst days. Absolutely. And that's what we do every single day. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think therapy is a huge one.
Yeah. And that's, so much in this field, first responders, they deal with individuals, like you said, on their worst day, at their worst moment, in the what is often the lowest point of their life, or in the most tragic moment in their life, you are sometimes living that with them.
Absolutely.
And then once that is over, it's the very next call.
Absolutely.
And then the next.
Yeah.
What is the most rewarding part of your job?
Communications. The most rewarding part of our job is kind of the same thing. We are the first people that those people are talking to. So we are the first people that get a chance to make a difference, whether it be something that is going to impact them for the rest of their lives. We have a chance to try to comfort them the best that we can. To me, that is super rewarding.
Yes, I agreed. Yeah, and you're the first voice that they hear when they reach out for help, and being able to provide them with the assistance that they need at the moment they needed it.
Correct.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know this, but April is also National Child Abuse Awareness Month. So can you talk about the role that dispatchers often play in those types of cases, and maybe share something that you have experienced in your career revolving around that topic?
Definitely. There are calls, if not, every few days, weekly, where we're handling child abuse cases. We did take a call just short of, I believe, a year ago, where a preteen was online speaking to an adult male, that was in another state. They formed some kind of relationship online, and she ran away with him, essentially. I would like to say that he abducted her because he is an adult. When I took that call, we basically followed them. We, used resources that we have available, and were able to track where they were headed. We communicated with other law enforcement agencies in Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, and it spanned over, I believe, a 48-hour period, but we successfully brought her back home to her parents, and it was, I mean, to me, successful.
Man. So what started out as a phone call, probably from a parent or a guardian about a missing teenager, turned into a multi-day investigation, and our organization, our communication staff, assisted multiple different law enforcement organizations in recovering a single teenager multiple states away.
Correct.
That's amazing. Yep. That is amazing, Grayson County.
Yep.
That's awesome work. And you know, that's just a testament to the dedication of not only, and I don't want to pull anything away from our wonderful staff that we have here at Grayson County, but not just your folks down there and your bureau, but the telecommunicators all across the U.S. That give so much of themselves to this profession.
Yes, sir.
They're dedicated to it.
Definitely.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
So, someone who's thinking about becoming a dispatcher, an emergency communications specialist, any advice for that person?
Definitely. I think as a communications specialist, it does need to be something that you're genuinely interested in. I think that you need to do your research, because a lot of people do not know everything that it entails. Research is a huge thing. Reach out and go to your local PDs or sheriff's departments, and you can generally do sit-ins. They'll pull backgrounds as long as you're cleared. They'll bring you in, and you can do ride-alongs with the departments, and just see and sit in and see for yourself what we actually do and what the job entails. That's the biggest part of, the advice that I would give somebody that would want to consider becoming a communication specialist.
Exactly, right? Like, go and see, almost shadow, before you make the commitment.
Correct.
Because this job is not really meant for everybody.
Right? Definitely not. Yeah. Definitely not. Right? Yeah.
Definitely not. So we at the Sheriff's Office do have a ride-along program, and you can sign up for that at GCTXSO.com. Just click that ride-along tab and fill out that form, and someone will be in contact. Shameless plug. But moving on. Is there anything else that you'd like people to know about what you and your team here at the Sheriff's Office do, or just anything about the team, anything at all?
So personally, my team, I think we all say it, but I've got the best team. So when you hear people say, you've got each other's backs, I honestly do believe that my team does. We spend more time here than we do at home. So we learn a lot about each other. We know each other's quirks. And I really do think that when you say, oh, we're a family, we really are. So I think it's a good thing to have that when we're spending so much time together.
There you go. There you go. Because you're spending a lot of time together in a very large room. You're going to get to know the people that you're sitting right there with.
The goods, the bads, the uglies, everything.
So. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and spending a little bit of time with me today, and letting people know a little bit about what's going on in our communications center, especially because it's, Public Safety Telecommunicator Week, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant Cox.
And so to everybody that's listening, we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you'll check us out again next Thursday at 9 a.m. here on the podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow us, and stay safe, Grayson County.